What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the KREF High School Huddle here on the KREFSports.tv YouTube channel. Remember, like, subscribe, follow on this YouTube channel and on all of our social medias, KREFSports.tv on Twitter and on Instagram and Facebook as well, where we've had a lot of content that we've been pushing out over the last week or so as postseason spring sports are now in full swing. Coming up on today's show, we're going to preview state baseball. We'll get to the semifinals of soccer as well, plus a couple of interviews with a couple of guests that you will not want to miss that get us set up for the next couple of days of postseason sports. He's Connor Pasby. I'm Grayson Singleton. As always, again, thank you for spending a part of your day with us. Let's get started with the best thing that we saw this weekend, and it comes from the baseball playoffs as the Cinderella of the spring, Edmond North, marches on. The Huskies were 13-22 during the regular year, but they are now in the state tournament, as here's Blake Gamble's final call of Edmond North upsetting Edmond Memorial to reach the field of the Final Eight.
To the state tournament. That ball lifted up. In right field. Lomberg makes the catch, and the Huskies celebrate the dog pile on the infield as the improbable happens. Edmond North, the 3 seed.
So pretty cool stuff. Again, 13-22 on the season. Now, we had a story like this last year with Westmore. They were 500 during the regular year and got hot. But now Edmond North has won 5 of its last 6 games going back to the end of the regular season. And they started that stretch after being thumped by Piedmont in a game before their final district home and home with Putnam City North. And all of a sudden, it has seemed like it's kicked off quite the run.
Yeah, it's crazy, Grace. I mean, a team with a losing record like Edmond North, but when we talk to people that follow 6A baseball, they know that this is a team that has lost close games throughout the regular season, and they're getting hot right now in the playoffs. And it's crazy how, I mean, it didn't even go to a Game 7, like just a sweep for Edmond North against an Edmond Memorial team that was probably picked by many to win the whole thing when they got to the state tournament. But Edmond North had other plans and a team that's just built for the postseason, and that is the Edmond North Huskies.
Yeah, they got really good pitching in their games as well. You know, as we're prepping to cover the rounds of the state tournament that we're able to, I've been looking through box scores and whatnot. They got a really good first game from Brandon Green, 6 2/3. Could have gone a complete game, but ran up against the pitch limit, but pitched a really good game in that first game. And obviously, they get really good pitching in their first win against Edmond Memorial, a 2-1 win, and then hold Memorial to 2 runs in a 7-2 win to advance to state. And that whole regional was nuts. Just following that from the Edmond Santa Fe regional where I was on Thursday.
Well, it comes down to pitching when you get to the postseason. Edmond North was able to get really good outings from their starting pitching, and that's what helps when you're in games like that, especially when you're on the road at someone else's regional.
Yeah, no doubt. Let's go to the upset of the weekend, a new feature on this here show. And Edmond North this time ended up on the wrong side of this because the defending state champions in girls soccer were facing Broken Arrow, while Broken Arrow's boys were facing Edmond North on the other side of the state. We'll get to that in a second. But Edmond North and Broken Arrow were scoreless heading into extra time, were scoreless heading into PKs, and then this happened.
The whistle, and that's the game. Haley Green puts it in the net. There was an early whistle. I was confused. What happened?
So Broken Arrow in PKs on a rather interesting looking play with the whistle and everything eliminates Edmond North. Broken Arrow is headed to the state semifinals, which, by the way, let's turn to the girls' state semifinals and pivot there. Broken Arrow will face 918 rival Bixby, who had a 2-0 win over Norman. And then on the other side of things, Norman North and continues their impressive postseason run like they have been for the most recent years. They advance to the semifinals to take on Jinx. Norman North defeats Westmore 3-1 as Jinx takes down Deer Creek 2-1. So, thoughts as we head into the girls' state semifinal. Norman North taking on Jinx and Bixby. facing Broken Arrow.
Yeah, Grace, some drama on the girls' side. That is for sure the defending state champs, Eben North. Early exit for them, and Broken Arrow did it with their defense, as they've been doing so far in the postseason, and that shapes things up good for Norman North. I'm sure that was a team in Eben North that the T-Wolves were kind of focused on to possibly see in the state championship. Now Eben North is out the gate. So those are some intriguing matchups that are on display here tonight.
Yeah, no, it'll be a lot of fun. Josh Helmer will have the call of Norman North and Jinx from Norman, and Bixby and Broken Arrow will also be broadcast on KRefSports.tv. Our man Blake Gamble will be out there as well in the 918. On the boys' side of the semis, let's flip it over because this was pretty entertaining. On the quarterfinal side of things, Broken Arrow advances on the boys' side with a 3-0 win over Edmond North. I was at that one. Total domination from Broken Arrow in that game from start to finish. The game ended with a little bit of a fiasco at the end, but suffices to say, the Tigers looked highly, highly impressive in that win over the Huskies. They will take on Bartlesville, who won a shootout with Northwest Classen 6-5 on one side. On the other side of the boys' semifinals, it's Norman North and Memorial. Norman North coming off of a 2-1 victory over Wawaso, and Memorial blanked Mustang 2-0 to advance to the semifinals. So there's your final four on the boys' side of the soccer tournament.
Yeah, Broken Arrow, man, a team that's playing good soccer right now, and expect to see a lot of offense in that game against Bartlesville. When you look at the lower side of the bracket, Ed Memorial, 2 shutouts, so they're getting the job done on the defensive end, matched up with Norman North. So just like the girls' side, you're going to have some fun matchups in the semifinals.
I think what's interesting between Bartlesville and Broken Arrow is that Bartlesville obviously has a lot of offense, and they put up 6 goals in a postseason game, which is highly, highly impressive. But Broken Arrow, I think, is such a very good technical team, and their offense is so precise with the way they move the ball. That's what impressed me the most about them beating an Edmond North team who can just physically beat you up, and tried to do so at the beginning of that game, but obviously to no avail. Norman North and Memorial, I think that's just going to be a very interesting West Side matchup.
Yeah, and when you go back to the top, Broken Arrow, it's a program that always has a good season. The Tigers do, and they got another one right now. They've been getting the job done, not only offense, but they've been keeping teams out of the net, and they're going to have to do that against the Bartlesville team tonight.
Yeah, but by the way, so yeah, I took the trip to the 918 to call the Broken Arrow and Edmond North game along with our own JoJo Davis. Heck of a lot of fun. Broken Arrow, you guys were fantastic hosts out there. That was awesome. So shout out to you guys as well. And speaking of the soccer playoffs, Connor Pasby sat down with Football Academy's Ricardo Ulloa and talked about what he sees in this final 4 teams of each gender when it comes to the playoffs.
A surprise to you at all that Broken Arrow took down Eben North in the quarterfinals?
Well, first, I want to say thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be on here and get to talk soccer. We love to talk soccer. It is the football factory. So I did want to just put that out too. But honestly, yes. Not because Broken Arrow isn't a good team. They honestly are. But because of how Edmond North has been all season. They did finish, I think, 15-1. Undefeated in district. So coming in, I know that they may have been a lot of people's favorites to win the whole thing. But, that's kind of the beauty of soccer, playoff soccer. One moment, one mistake, a finish, anything can really happen. So Broken Arrow came organized. They stayed disciplined, and they ended up getting the dub. So shout out to the girls out there, man. It's a good win.
And staying on the girls' side, Ricardo, Norman North, they continue to roll without one of their main pieces. They'll get her back here pretty soon. What has impressed you most about the Norman North T-Wolves on the girls' side?
I think what we've learned from missing a key player is they have some depth. And, a lot of teams tend to struggle when their key player's out. So seeing how they've been able to kind of not really miss a beat this season kind of just shows that they're a pretty good team overall. I mean, I think it's 14-1 for them, undefeated in district as well. So they seem calm and composed. So another favorite for a lot of teams considering how they did last year. So overall, I think they got depth, and it just shows the strength in the team. So it'll be interesting to see if that player comes back and how she incorporates herself. Will it, make the team a little slow? Will it make them sharper? It'll be interesting to see.
With Ricardo Uyoloff with the Football Factory. They do an awesome job over there, and just love the content they continue to put out for 6A soccer that we get to broadcast as well throughout the week. One more thing on the girls' side, Ricardo. This Bigsby offense continues to look good. They won 10-0 over Norman on their home turf. Now you get the matchup with BA and Bigsby. What are you looking forward to seeing in that BA and Bigsby matchup?
A lot of offense, really a lot of offense. Bigsby's attack they're quick, they're relentless. So I expect to see them kind of putting the pressure on early. This is a really, really great year for the Bigsby team and their girls. I think this is somewhat uncharted territory for them, but I don't sense that they are afraid of the situation that they're in. If anything, they're coming in hungry. We saw it in the first round with 10 goals. It's no joke at this level, really. So anything can happen. So it'll be an interesting game to see what comes out. Will it be the offense or will it be the defense that'll dictate the game? So I'm curious to see who comes out on top of that one.
Now, the boys' side, we have a few that we will cover as well starting tonight, and one of them is uh, Norman North and Edmond Memorial on the boys' side. What can you tell us about that matchup, Ricardo?
Norris and Edmond Memorial, I think, is going to be. They're both exciting matches on both ends, but these are two pretty big powerhouse teams that have been just wrecking a lot of teams this season. So to see them clash here is probably an early state final, really. Norman North 15-1 overall. I know they've already beaten Memorial 2-0 earlier this year, but I mean, it's playoffs, so anything can happen. Maybe Edmond Memorial come with their chip on their shoulder. I know they got Coach Hemphill out there really motivating players and has them literally running through walls for the team. So, man, I don't know. It's going to be a physical, scrappy game that could be a real thriller. So,
Transitioning now to baseball because the state tournament and the field of the final eight has been set. So here are the matchups and the brackets as well, and we'll go through them in chronological order. Stillwater is going to take on Piedmont. The Pioneers breeze through their regional. Piedmont goes to a Game 7 and upsets Yukon at the Yukon Regional. Broken Arrow swept the Enid Regional, which is interesting. They'll take on an Edmond Santa Fe team that had to go to a Game 7 to dispatch of Deer Creek to advance to state. Choctaw and Owasso is in there as well after both won their regionals. Edmond North, we talked about them. They won a Game 7 at Memorial, an elimination game for the Bulldogs. That game was not an elimination game for Edmond North, and Bixby swept their own regional. So Stillwater, Piedmont, Broken Arrow, Edmond Santa Fe, Choctaw, Owasso, Edmond North, and Bixby. And one of those teams that joined the upset party of the weekend was Piedmont after they took care of Yukon at the Yukon Regional. And I sat down with Price McClure, who came in relief in the Game 7 and locked things down for the Wildcats. I just want to know, man, how did you stay ready? Were you expecting to come in out of the pen in that game? And take me through the final 3 innings plus.
Yeah. So I mean, my coaches have prepared me the whole day. I was in relief. It was me and our starter. We were really all we had left. So I was expected to come in. I don't know what inning, but
Yeah.
when I saw our starter kind of start struggling, I got hot in the pen and kind of just switched modes.
What do you do on a day where you're expecting to come in out of the pen to keep yourself ready and make sure that you're sharp when your number is called?
I really just kind of like lock in the dugout. I mean, I still cheer for my teammates and stuff, but I'm kind of in a different mode when I'm on the mound.
Yeah. As you guys prep for state, your first game is against Stillwater, and the team that won 6A District 4. What's the level of preparation been like heading into that game? And obviously, they've got a guy in Ethan Holiday who's expected to be the number 1 pick in the draft. So, what's the mindset going into that game?
I mean, we're pumped. We're gonna get after it and let everything else do the rest. But we're definitely prepared.
I mean, you guys have won 28 games this season, but yet you didn't even host a region. That's just how the district
Yeah.
standings shook out. Did you guys go into that regional at UConn with an underdog mindset? Or, what was the feeling like knowing you guys had so much success, but you still were going on the road?
I think we definitely knew we were the best team in it, and but after we dropped the first game to them, we kind of just played with like mentality that we got nothing to lose and leave it all out there, and then we played really good ball.
Man, what happened between losing that first game and then the second time you guys play them, you run rule them 14 to nothing, and then you come back in game 7 and beat them 5-4? What happened in between all that?
I mean, our coaches they kept us prepared. We never felt doubt at all, and we just hate losing, so
Yeah.
we tried to make a statement game too, and we did.
In that last game, you guys scored the first 5 runs of the game, and then all of a sudden UConn started chipping back in and chipping back in to cut the lead to 1 run. How did you guys maintain composure and poise to get those final outs in the 7th inning for the 1-run game?
It came down to like who wanted it more. We were all dog tired. UConn was definitely tired too. It'd been a long week, but it just came down to who wanted it, and I think we wanted a little more.
You guys are going to the state tournament for the first time in you guys' 6A existence. What's been the big difference competing in 5A? I know you're a younger guy, but what's been the difference around the program when it comes to competing in 5A and now competing in 6A?
6A, we got to be ready to battle every single day. There's not one team in 6A who can't beat, the best teams. So we know what it's like. Last year, we got a good taste in our mouth. And this year, we were a lot more prepared, in my opinion.
Couple more questions for you, Price. You play in the field and you also pitch. Is there a difference day to day when it comes to preparing for playing defense or pitching?
For sure. Personally, I'd rather come out of the bullpen, not like straight off the field to pitch. So that's definitely big. But when I'm in a fielding or when I'm not pitching, I'm in the fielding mode, hitting mode. And then when they call my name, I'll be ready.
Yeah. What gives you guys so much confidence that you guys can continue to go through this bracket and win 3 more games and be state champions this weekend?
We're tight. We're all really good buddies growing up together. And we're getting hot, so we're excited.
Do you guys feel
make some
that though?
noise.
Do you guys feel like you're starting to hit the stride and you're getting hot and that momentum's
Oh
building?
yeah, we feel super confident.
So appreciation to Price McClure and also Ricardo Ulloa for joining us as well. So let's break this down, Connor Pasby. Stillwater and Piedmont, let's start with them. Stillwater's been on our network a couple of times as they've played Norman as well as Bixby, so we've gotten to see them a couple times. Obviously, the presumed number 1 overall pick, Ethan Holiday, is on the Pioneers. They were 3-0 in a regional where they scored 31 runs in one of their games. Easily breezed through their regional. What do they present, and how can Piedmont upset them?
Well, the big name, it's Ethan Holiday. He's really difficult to pitch to. He's one of the top guys that you're going to see in the MLB draft. And really outside of him, they still got some talent in the lineup for sure for Stillwater. I'm interested to see that game. That's the first game out of the gate that we have on Friday. Piedmont, team that lost to UConn and backs against the wall, they're able to win the next 2. That says a lot about that Piedmont team. So they're going to come into this really fired up to play Stillwater for that first game. So I'm ready to see that one for sure between Stillwater and Piedmont. We'll see how the Piedmont pitching holds up against a talented Stillwater offense.
Yeah, you're going to see guys like a catcher Lindley, a Titus Boyce, Price McClure will go as well, Drake May. So Adam Skotkowski's got a lot to work with in terms of his arms for Piedmont. Piedmont was one of the higher scoring teams in the regional this past weekend. They scored about 1.3 runs per inning. So that will play when you're going up against a team like Stillwater, where you're going to assume you're probably going to have to score runs if you want to beat them. Broken Arrow and Edmond Santa Fe, the Tigers sweep the Enid Regional, and Edmond Santa Fe goes to a Game 7, beats Deer Creek. And the weekend really belonged to Savion Sims. He had the walk-off 2-run single to send Edmond Santa Fe here. Meanwhile, Broken Arrow, goes on the road and does Broken Arrow things, completely upsetting the apple cart. What stands out here?
Yeah, well, for Edmond Santa Fe, when you talk about Savion Sims, obviously it's the pitching with his fastball being mid-90s, but man, he did it with his bat over the weekend. He swung a hot bat for Edmond Santa Fe. He came through with runners in scoring position, as you saw in that Deer Creek game when he was able to walk it off for Edmond Santa Fe. So I'm interested to see if Savion Sims, I mean, you kind of expect him. You got to throw your best guy in the first round if you want to advance. That's what I always say.
Let's talk about that for a second because Edmond Santa Fe is a pretty deep pitching team.
It is
in terms of its staff. Carson Cooper is a fantastic number 2. So do you get in that situation Chris Webb is going to be in right now where you think maybe we throw our number 2 guy and save our ace if we get past him, except Broken Arrow is not a team that you want to look past. That's the dichotomy you face when it comes to this.
Yeah, it's always tough to do because you don't want to go home without Savion Sims throwing.
Right.
I mean, maybe if the game gets interesting later on, then you bring Savion Sims to lock it down for Edmond Santa Fe late in the game. So we'll see what that pitching looks like for Edmond Santa Fe. But you're right, Grayson. They got some dudes outside of Sims that can get the job done on the mound.
Yeah, no doubt. And I believe the winner of that game will take on Stillwater and Piedmont. So 2 teams that, and let's put a book in on that because let's ask this question. Could you imagine a matchup at the end of the game where it comes down to Savion Sims versus Ethan Holiday?
Must see. I mean, must see. They're going to have so many scouts there to watch it as well with both those guys, elite talent at the 6A level.
And you talk about, guys that are going to draw scouts. Cooper Leggett, who's a pitcher for Bixby, committed to Wichita State as well. Carson Brumbaugh at Edmond Santa Fe, committed to Arkansas, formerly committed to Tennessee. So Choctaw's got a couple of guys that are drawing attention too, including OU football offer Titus Hawk, who plays tight end for the football team. He is an exceptional baseball player as well. So we might get a chance to see him on our network, depending on what the matchups are on Friday. By the way, Connor Pasby will be up there both days, along with Blake Gamble. I will join the coverage on Friday for state baseball up there in the 918. That would be played at Jinx. Let's go to Edmond North and Bixby because Edmond North wins 3 games, eliminates Memorial in the Edmond Memorial Regional, and Bixby sweeps its own regional rather easily with 2 wins over Sand Springs. So does Edmond North have a chance to keep this going and upset the Spartans?
I think they do, the way they've been playing baseball as of late. You can talk about what you did in the regular season, but once you hit regional play, that all changes. I mean, everyone's at 0-0, and Edmond North has proven that. We talk about how many close games they have lost during the regular season, but finally they're able to close those games and get the job done in that Memorial Regional. And a team like Bixby that, when you talk about offense, I mean, you got to talk about Bixby. I mean, that was a team when they played Sand Springs. It looked like we were about to have an if-necessary game, but Bixby was able to put up 9 runs in that 6th inning. That shows that their offense can just catch on fire just whenever, and the Spartans were able to do that. So that's another game that I'm ready to watch. That's the last game on Friday night under the lights that people are going to watch that one.
Pitching and defense wins in the postseason. And Edmond North, in the 3 games in the regional, they played 21 innings and gave up 6 runs.
It's pretty good, man.
That'll play. Not only that, Isaac Warden started the final game. Complete game, allowed 3 hits, struck out 7. That's pretty good. When you go to the middle game, we talked about Brandon Green's start in the first game, but you go to the middle game, the 2-1 win for Edmond North over Memorial. McLean, 5 2/3, 6 hits, struck out 5, 2 walks, 1 run allowed. That's your formula right there. Now, Bixby's offense is on another level. It's a stacked lineup top to bottom. You're not going to find a real weak part of the lineup, but if you continue to pitch like that, Edmond North could continue to advance and surprise a lot of people.
Well, that's what we're saying. When you can get long, good outings out of your starting pitcher, I mean, that helps you out a ton. That avoids you having to go to the pen to use multiple guys, and you just save up pitching. And the next starting pitcher is ready to go for the next game. So Edmond North, I mean, you can't draw it up more perfect than what the Huskies are doing right now.
Yeah, no doubt for sure. All right, that'll do it for us on the KREF High School Huddle and this edition for this week, setting you up for the semifinals of boys and girls soccer and the state tournament that is going to commence starting on Thursday of this weekend. Remember, check out krefsports.tv on all social media for updates and game scheduling. We'll put it up for you here of what we're going to air. So Norman North and Jinx, Bixby and Broken Arrow in girls semi soccer, and Norman North, Norman North and Memorial will also be aired by us as well. And then follow us for baseball state tournament action as Connor Pasby and Karsten Melton, along with Dylan Rivera from Broken Arrow and Blake Gamble, will have state tournament coverage on Thursday, and then I will join the party on Friday up there from Jinx. That's Connor Pasby. I'm Grayson Singleton. For all of us here at krefsports.tv, thanks for spending part of your day with us. Have a good weekend, everybody.